I met Daniel in college when I was in my final year. He was quiet, brilliant, and always carried himself with a calm confidence. He wasn't the flashy type, no designer shoes or loud friends, but something about the way he respected everyone caught my attention. My family never liked him. My mother called him too plain, and my sister Lena laughed at his used car and humble job at the bookstore. I was warned he wouldn't amount to anything, but I loved him anyway. We got married the summer after graduation, against my mother's warnings. She said I was throwing my future away. Lena said I'd be bored in 6 months. I thought they were just being protective, but soon I realized it was never about love, it was about status. My family came from privilege, and Daniel didn't fit their mold. Still, he never reacted. He treated them with respect every single time, even when they ignored him at family dinners. Even when Lena made cruel jokes about his clothes or offered to set me up with someone on my level. Daniel worked tirelessly. While I settled into a teaching job, he poured himself into tech startups and late nights. Years passed. Slowly, things changed. Daniel launched his own software company. It took off. Investors, partnerships, major clients. Suddenly, my quiet husband was being invited to panels and interviews. He built everything from scratch, never taking a dime from my family. Still, the way they treated him never changed. There was a Christmas when my mother invited everyone but forgot to include Daniel on the group message. When he showed up with me, she acted surprised and asked if he could make himself useful in the kitchen. Lena rolled her eyes and posted a story with a caption, "Some people don't know when they're not welcome." He said nothing. He cleaned up, helped serve, and drove me home like nothing had happened. Looking back now, it hurts more than I can explain, not just what they did to him, but how I stayed quiet. I should have stood up for him louder, firmer. Instead, I convinced myself he didn't care, that maybe he was too focused on success to notice. But Daniel noticed everything. He just chose to carry it in silence. I didn't know then that silence would one day speak louder than anything they'd ever said. As Daniel's company grew, so did the distance between us. He traveled more, took on meetings at odd hours, and spent long nights working. I told myself I understood. He was building a future for us. But deep down, I started feeling like a shadow in my own marriage. I never spoke up. I just let the silence grow. Then one evening, I got a message from Victor. He was my ex from college, charming, fun, the kind who always knew the right thing to say. It started casually, just catching up. A few memories, a few laughs. I didn't tell Daniel. I didn't think I needed to. Lena noticed. She encouraged it, even teased me about it. "At least someone's giving you attention," she said. I didn't stop her. I let the compliments, the little jokes, the flirty messages continue. It felt harmless until it wasn't. Victor asked to meet. I said no at first, then said maybe. One night, after a tense call with Daniel where he canceled another dinner because of work, I agreed. I didn't plan for anything to happen, but it did. I crossed a line. The moment it was over, I felt sick. I didn't go home that night. I told Daniel I stayed at Lena's. He didn't question me. When I did come back, he surprised me. He'd booked a trip for us. Just the two of us. Said he missed me. Said he wanted to make time again. That was the moment everything shattered inside me. I looked at him, the man I once promised everything to, and realized what I'd done. He had been working not for himself, but for us. And I had traded his loyalty for a few hours of escape. I wanted to confess, but I couldn't bring myself to say the words. So I smiled. I packed. I went on that trip and pretended everything was okay. But every touch felt heavy. Every look from him felt undeserved. I came back home hoping it would fade, but the guilt grew louder. Victor messaged again. I ignored it. I tried to block him. I tried to forget. But what I didn't know was that secrets always find a way out. And Daniel was never the kind of man who ignored his instincts for long. It was a Tuesday morning when everything collapsed. I woke up to find Daniel sitting at the edge of the bed, holding my phone. He didn't say anything at first. He just looked at me with eyes that didn't match the face I knew. Calm. Tired. Hollow. He handed me the phone. A message from Victor. Just one line. You disappeared after that night.
still thinking about it.
I couldn't breathe.
I didn't deny it.
I didn't try to lie. I just sat there, shaking, and said I was sorry. Daniel didn't raise his voice. He didn't curse or throw anything. He just stood up and said, I knew. That hurt more than shouting ever could. He'd known. For weeks. Maybe longer. And he said nothing because he wanted to see if I'd come clean on my own. I didn't. After that, everything changed. He moved into the guest room. We still lived under the same roof, but it was like being strangers in a museum of what our marriage used to be. I left him notes, I tried talking, I even suggested therapy. But he'd already closed the door inside himself. He went to work like always, ate dinner quietly, slept early, and never touched me again. My family found out, but not because I told them. Lena snooped through my messages. Instead of comforting me, she rolled her eyes. You're not the first woman to cheat, she said. He's being dramatic. My mother wasn't any better. She said men always come back. He won't throw all this away. But they were wrong.
He didn't come back.
He didn't yell or accuse or demand anything. He simply disconnected. I wasn't living with an angry man. I was living with a ghost, one that used to love me but no longer could. Weeks turned into months. I tried to stay hopeful. I thought maybe time would fix it. Then I found the divorce papers on the kitchen table. Quiet.
Neat.
Final. He didn't ask for anything. Not the house, not the accounts, not revenge. Just space. Just closure. That was when I realized I hadn't just lost a marriage. I had lost the only person who ever saw value in me when no one else did. And all I could do was watch him walk away with the same quiet dignity he always carried, even while carrying my betrayal. By the time the divorce was finalized, Daniel had become a name people recognized. His company expanded internationally. Interviews, conferences, articles, he was everywhere. And suddenly, the same people who once dismissed him started talking about him with admiration, including my family. It started with my mother. She casually mentioned Daniel's name at dinner one night, pretending like she always believed in him. Then came Lena. Her business had collapsed after a failed investment, and she started asking about Daniel's contacts, subtly hinting she could use some guidance. I didn't say much. I watched it all happen with a mix of shame and disbelief. These were the same people who laughed at him for years. The same ones who treated him like he was nothing. And now, they couldn't get enough of his success. Then my mother asked me for a favor. She wanted me to talk to Daniel, just a quick meeting. She said the family was in financial trouble, and maybe he could help just this once. I told her no. I begged her to let it go. But she didn't. A few days later, she showed up at his office uninvited. Daniel didn't turn her away. He listened. Politely. Quietly. Just like he always did. Later, he invited the whole family to a formal dinner. They assumed it was a sign of goodwill. I knew him too well to believe it was that simple. That night, Daniel sat at the table like a man fully in control of the room. He didn't gloat. He didn't remind them of the past. Instead, he repeated their own words, word for word. The insults, the jokes, the mockery. He recited them like a script they had all forgotten, but he had memorized. No one said a word. Then he pulled out a check. A large one. My mother's eyes lit up until she read the name. It was made out to a local women's shelter. He looked at her and said, I prefer helping people who never mocked me while I built what you now envy. He stood up, thanked them for their time, and left. It wasn't dramatic. It was surgical. That moment ended whatever illusion my family had. Daniel wasn't bitter. He wasn't cruel. He was just done. And for the first time, they saw him not as the poor boy they once ridiculed, but as the man who needed no revenge to win. It's been 3 years since that dinner, and I haven't seen Daniel since. Not up close, at least. I've seen him on TV, in magazines, mentioned in articles that describe him as brilliant, generous, visionary. And he is all of that and more. He always was. He's married now. Her name is Elise. I looked her up once. She works in community outreach, the kind of woman who smiles from the heart. They met through one of his foundations. She's everything I used to be before I forgot who I was trying to impress. My family never mentions Daniel anymore. After that dinner, he disappeared from their vocabulary like a chapter they'd rather erase. Lena still struggles with debt. My mother sold the second house. They've both moved on to looking for someone else to latch onto. I don't speak to them much these days. I moved out of the city a year ago. Took a smaller job, more quiet. I started volunteering at the same women's shelter Daniel donated to. Not to chase a shadow, but because it was the first place where I felt honest again. I don't talk about him there. I don't wear my past like a story I deserve sympathy for. I just show up, listen, help, and go home. Some nights I still replay it all. The silence, the moment he found out, the look on his face. Not anger, just complete disappointment. I didn't lose him because I cheated. I lost him because I broke the one thing he never gave to anyone easily: trust. People think infidelity is about physical mistakes. But it's not. It's about forgetting who's in your corner. About taking loyalty for granted. Daniel didn't punish me. He didn't destroy me. He just stepped aside and let me live with what I chose. There's a photo of him that I see sometimes online. He's smiling, one arm around Elise, the other holding a mic mid-speech. He looks light,
Free.
untouched by the weight I still carry. I never reached out again. Not because I didn't want to, but because I finally understood the cost of what I broke. His love wasn't loud. It didn't demand attention. It was steady, silent, and all-encompassing. And the quiet way he left, that was the loudest thing anyone's ever said to me.